any fun.
No, never. It'll be terrible to go fun.
And how can you have fun with being? And actually, we are live. So welcome to our conversation on being with Rachel Silber and Dr. Helen Gitelvich, and today's guest, Betsy McLoughlin. Welcome, Betsy. How are you?
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the wonderful welcome.
It's our pleasure to have you here. We're very, very excited.
And how much more can we have with being? This is a conversation on being. So, Betsy, you've been being you facilitator for a while, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is it from the beginning or it doesn't matter? But
I don't even remember. A couple of years, not from the beginning. Yeah.
So can you kind of extrapolate on what drawn you into being, into CF, into actually taking the classes, but also to becoming certified facilitator of being you classes?
Well, my life had just changed so much that I was so drawn to what I could contribute to other people. I really did a complete 180 where my life was going. And I was so miserable and really didn't want to be here anymore. Wasn't happy, wasn't joyful. I was in a lot of pain in my body and just like, really like, what is the point of life? Kind of that's where I was. And then I found Access Bars and I started taking a bunch of classes, and every class and everything just like so contributed to me and changed my life like dynamically. And Dr. Dane's book, Being You, Changing the World, was one of the first things after my bars class. And I started reading it, and I was just reading it going, oh my God, this man is putting into words so many things that I thought might be possible, but wasn't seeing anywhere,
Because nobody talks about it, but it's this like awakening, a memory or something that we just know.
Yeah, for sure. And then, so from there, I just wanted to learn, like, just the way I am. When I go in full in, I go full in. And I was just like jumped in, and every class was such a contribution. And then I started thinking, I would really think I would enjoy facilitating. And so that was kind of my journey to becoming a certified facilitator. And then just from there, like, okay, what else? And just kept going. And the invitation for Being You was such a strong pull in my world. And as you know, as facilitators, like everything you do, like when you are being you and you're the space of you, that joy that just comes from it within. And it's like, I so just desire to contribute and be that for others. So
wonderful. Thank you so much. And it's not just the words you're saying, but the energy behind them. It's that kindness that I'm perceiving right now. So,
and the softness, that's an invitation in everything that you do. Like every conversation that I've had with you, and whether on the phone or in different classes, there's always been that kindness and that including. And you're one of the magicians behind the scenes and Access too. So it's spreading that out everywhere. And that's been a huge contribution to the growth of Access also.
Thank you.
Gotta know that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
So how much of because we have a group which is Being You Without Hiding, and our conversation on being, because I know with me, I was hiding pretty much all my life.
No.
Yeah, but I couldn't. Yeah. And I still was like different.
Yeah.
So how much of that Being You classes and actually being you contributed to you stepping, because right now you're a radio host and certified facilitator and so much more, and certified facilitator with being you and some other stuff that you're doing in Access. So what it is about being that we are afraid of, but at the same time desire, and then kind of like stepping in and out and doing all kinds of like dancing with that.
It's like the hokey pokey. We put one hand in, we take one hand down. It's like,
do it all around. Yeah, that's a great description of it, Helen, and what a great question. And I've looked at that for myself for sure, because I was really good at hiding, really, really good at hiding. And just got to the point where that wasn't fun. Like, that's not contributing to me or anyone else. And I honestly, like for me, I love contributing. It just lights me up. And when I'm facilitating and seeing the change and what people, choose and create in their own lives, I'm so energized and like, oh my God, and even talking about it right now, my whole body, I'm getting chills, and I love it so much. And so with that, it's like, you can't facilitate, that and hide. It's just, it's not
all the skins in the game.
It really is. Yeah. And it's not a congruency, and people are going to sense if you're, they're going to know there's something off, even if they don't quite know what it is. So you really, and for me, I'm always looking at, okay, where else am I hiding? Where else am I stopping myself? And like being that demand when I see, when I'm asking questions like that, to go through whatever the uncomfortable might be, or where all my walls or whatever that I've set up for myself, and be like, no, that doesn't work anymore, and blast through them. And as I do that, and I really become more and more of me and more of that, it's just such a gift that it's hard to put into words, but it truly is such a gift. And it's like, oh yeah, right.
Well, it's fascinating, because it sounds almost theoretical. Like, what do you mean this being me? And what do you mean being more of me? Mm-hmm. And, I remember I'd gotten a copy of the Being You Changing the World book for my son's school, for him and the other teenagers that are there, to have as a resource, to give. Yes and no. So that was rather interesting, because one of the kids who was having all of these, like, oh, I've got to experiment with shrooms and this and that and the other, I'm looking for a higher power. No. The kid was given the book to read, and he said, no, this book asks me too many questions. Mm-hmm. The book is asking me rather than telling me the answer to life, and that the answer is 42, or the interconnectedness of things, or whatever. It's not giving me the right answer, so what am I supposed to do?
Yeah,
that's the discovery, and that's where this goes beyond these words, because in that beginning, the just being asked these questions, whether by book or in a class or whatever, or even just being with yourself, you begin to, what is it that I know? What is it that I enjoy? What is it that I like? And then you begin to allow that stuff to bubble up. Like, one of my favorite questions is, what gift am I that I've not acknowledged before? And it's generally, we tend to go, and I'm an expert, just like expert hider. I'm also an expert in going to the wrongness.
Yeah, totally.
When I'm willing to say, okay, so there's a gift in the way that I be. There's a strength in this thing that I've tried to tuck in and hide and say is a wrongness. Mm-hmm. So what is that gift? And there's this awakening, this blossoming, this unfurling. I'm not sure what to call it, but it just kind of bubbles forth. And so it's hard to describe, because it's a different process for everyone. But it's such a gift when it actually comes through.
Yes. And, when you see other people choosing that for themselves, you're like, yeah, waiter, I'll have what she's having. I'll have what he's having. Right. And it's like, it's such a, like you described it so beautifully. And it is a different journey for everybody. And when you can get out of whatever choice you've made as making yourself wrong or less than or evil or horrible, and you just, say, hey, it was all part of the journey, and it's every choice I've made has gotten me to where I am today. And right, and it's like, okay, and now what? And that glorious what's the word I'm looking for, exploration and of what's next, and the exuberance with that, the energy that is, and not be like, oh God, it's just another day, but like truly, like what's next? What's next? What's next?
Oh, good! It's another day. It's a different energy in general.
It's a different adventure, because a lot of times we wake up and it's like, okay, a lot of people at least wake up and they are in that yuck, as Dr. Dean was talking about, where there's so much going on and so many problems and so much stuff that people are overwhelmed. Yes. But when we are actually being, there is no overwhelm. It's actually from relaxation.
Yes.
And with Access, I found out that the tools that are in Being You classes, in Access classes in general, takes us out of that yucca, out of that depression, out of that non-being. So I know you facilitate classes. So where do people can find you?
Oh, well, they can find me easy. I do. I have, I am on Facebook, and my website is creatingyumminess.com. And
which I have to say, some of your yumminess is like the humanoid crack that you make, which is, well, besides yumminess in life and living, but this is like the most amazing chocolate delight. I'm just going to say
it's so good. Oh my God.
So creating yumminess, because I'm actually typing it up right now so it can show up on the bottom.
Thanks.
Creating yumminess, like
.com.
YUMMINESS.
That's it. Yep.
All right, we got it.
Yeah. So that's my website, and they can you can message me or email me at accessbetsy@gmail. So I'm pretty easy to find.
What's your favorite tool in the classes? And actually, I'd love to ask, in a being, like, what's shown up as different? Being a Being You facilitator, having the tools of Being You, how does that show up in other interactions and other classes and other things that you do? How do you take that into the world?
All the time. Like that is, and it's been such a beautiful gift. And really, for people to know that it's okay to be them, and you don't have to conform, and you don't have to try to fit yourself into a little box or something. And so when people, and again, I told you guys earlier, like seeing people choose what works for them and what they start to realize creates for their lives that might not work for anybody else. It might not make sense to anybody else. It might be the most left-hand turn that they've ever made in their lives, and just to see that is such a gift and so beautiful, truly.
What's your favorite story in a class that you've seen somebody burst into living, I'd call it?
Gosh, there's so many.
Favorite or funniest or whatever, most surprising. No pressure whatsoever.
It was a funny story from my last foundation class where there was somebody who was not, she had said she wasn't going to be able to come to the class because she didn't have the money. And I was like, okay, just, what else is possible? Just keep me posted. and totally from that space, I would love to have you in the class and whatever works for you, right? So a week or so before the class, she messages me. She's like, great news. I got the money. I'll be in class. I said, fantastic. How does it get any better than that? So in the class, we started talking about money and different things with money. And she's like, well, I don't know how to create money. I don't remember exactly the words she used, but it was, I have a set paycheck, right? So how do I bring in more money? And so I was talking about inviting the universe to contribute to you. And she starts laughing and she's like, well, as a matter of fact, the universe did do that for this class. Remember how I said I couldn't come? It's like, yeah. She goes, I was randomly seeing signs for a lost cat. And there was a reward of $2,000 for the lost cat. And she found the cat.
Wow.
Universe works in mysterious ways.
Right? And we were all laughing so much. I was like, that is a beautiful, brilliant story about how the universe will contribute to you. And, so then to say thank you and you're like, okay, what else is possible? That's a way you brought money in that has nothing to do with linearity or, my normal paycheck or anything else. And so in that acknowledgement of, okay, I just rescued this cat and got money for a class and had extra money is like, how does it truly, universe? Thank you so much. And how does it get better? So that was one of my most recent, it was such a fun conversation. And she was like, oh, maybe I am more magical than I realize. And I'm
like what a concept. There you go. And the thing is that if we don't acknowledge that, then it doesn't have room to keep flourishing and keep growing. Right. It's like we're not watering that plant of, being magic and being ourselves. And then it just dries up and withers because we're not actually incorporating that in honoring that and playing with that more. And yet it shows up in the freaking weirdest ways that it is amazing. And so how does it get even better than that? Because, wow, it is amazing. I've had periods of my life where I was asking, like, can I actually afford this bottle of ketchup? And I've had times in my life where, I could walk out of Saks Fifth Avenue after a 15-minute or half an hour shopping spree of just this, and walk out thousands of dollars and several bags out later, in like a breeze. Everybody has those kind of ups and downs and whatever, because life is just life. And the more we acknowledge that we're magic in our ask and that it doesn't have to show up the way we think it has to show up, the more of the wealth of possibilities that's around us that can come in and begin to play with us. And some of the strangest fucking things or not. Some of the strangest things have occurred in the oddest ways. And I think all three of us are in a business class with Gary Douglas and Dane here and Simone and Brendan this weekend. And one of the things that they were speaking about is, having horses. You think, okay, I have a horse and I have to pay for the maintenance of the horse. I have to pay for, if there's any veterinary costs or anything, there's all this like outgoing stuff in having a horse. And yet the energetic contribution that we're willing to receive shows up in our bank account, in our life, in our creations, in our choices in such a non-linear way. So it's the magic in non-linearity and asking and being willing to receive everything and to be everything. And what can we be today that's going to create something greater tomorrow? And makes no sense.
No.
That's what I love about this stuff. Oh my God, I just got it. It's nonsense.
Yes.
It's the nonsense of living. Because, the nonsense, not the nonsense, not that kind.
No, it's about not being serious. It's about not taking everything like important. And because everything like what's important, think of it, how heavy it is, how depressing and depressing. It's like, serious, important, yuck. That's all the yuck we have. Instead of looking at it as all nonsense.
And play. How often have we been asked to add play into our life? And when we're truly being us, how playful are we?
Right. Yeah. And it's the nonsensical stuff, you know, like what you were just saying is like nonsensical. Like, oh yeah, that totally. And it, you know,
delights us.
It totally does. And that, you know, that childlike wonder and play and possibility that we all innately be, you know, and what would it take for way more of that to show up for all of us?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow. And that really does make life so much easier. And I love the mantra of Access Consciousness is all of life comes to us with ease, joy, and glory. It's not serious. There's no seriousness there. And yet there's so much lightness and so much ease when we're willing to, it's not going with the flow. It's just allowing things in, allowing everything in. And recognizing that none of it is bigger than our willingness to be punny, to have fun, you know, to play with the nonsensical, magical, non-linear, all of it.
Truly.
What's your favorite tool in class, or the favorite thing that you enjoy playing with?
Gosh.
And you're not off the hook either, Helen. You're getting that one too.
I was going to say, what about you guys? You know, really, like the favorite thing is being able to ask a question. And as a facilitator, I don't have to know anything, right? You know, it's like I have a lot of tools. I have questions. I have reference materials that I can use as guides, but the gift of facilitating and the gift of question is that it takes us out again of having to have the answer, having to be serious. And so that for me, the tool of asking questions and letting go of having to know the answer has been freaking like that has changed my entire life. Totally. Because I had, you know, I used to be the problem solver. I had to know the answer. I had to get it right, you know, and all of that stuff. Now it's like, right?
Yeah.
That explains it perfectly, right?
Yeah. It was. Sometimes the words themselves are limitation to the energy that's there. And I will add something before I turn the question over to you, Helen. I'm going to add that we can read the book, and the book's brilliant, and we can read it and reread it, and it's like, you know, Dr. Dane flies in wearing a tutu with a, you know, magic wand, and he changes it according to how we're changing each day. And the gift of a class, of being in class and in that space to begin to explore, it's like this melting pot of taking off all those extra layers that we've been literally, like being you without hiding, that we've been hiding behind, like almost masks that we put to fit the projections, the expectations, that what we have even projected and expected that the world requires of us, rather than allowing us to be ourselves. And it's very different doing that on our own, and it's very different in a space of a class where someone's willing to see you beyond your story and ask you questions, as you were saying, and give you the space and allow you to be you and to explore and to go deeper. And there's such a beautiful gift in that that I love.
Truly to and to be that space of allowance for people, like for a lot of people, it might be the first time anybody has actually encouraged them to be you. And, you know, you haven't done anything wrong, no matter what it is. And it's like, be you. And so having that encouragement is such a beautiful gift.
Yeah, and having someone see them. What about you, Helen?
Yes.
What's your
totally.
favorite tool?
I would say everything.
Yeah, right. I know.
Almost,
And it's
almost made me choke.
everything.
Best answer ever.
To me, bringing new classes is actually about everything.
Yeah.
When you look at that, it's about money. It's about wealth. It's about body. It's about relationship. It's about everything, because when we are being us, everything else kind of falls away, all the problems falls
True
away,
story.
and we kind of like attract what matches our energies.
Kind of, or we actually do?
We actually do. And the funniest thing, like you were talking about the question, and that's exactly what everything is. Because think of it in this reality, when you look at any modality, it's self-improvement. So we're talking about changing ourselves, improving ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality,
Cleaning off our glasses.
yeah, but truly, do we actually need improvement, or do we need to take off all those layers, peel it off, get rid of it, and be ourselves? Like that essence, that beauty that we all are, instead of
Yeah.
just choosing, oh, I want to improve my relationship, I want to have more money. But when we actually let go of a lot of points of view, judgments, conclusions, computations, money is like a person. They like fun, they like joy. So when we start peeling away, when we start moving all of those things that not working, and most things that not working, not ours. That's why I think my favorite is who does it belong to?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because 99% of the junk stuff and what upsets us, all that yuck, it's not even ours. Think of a baby. When a baby is born, it's happy. Everything is joy. It's like, this.
Yeah.
Everything is a wonder.
Mm-hmm.
And then don't do that. No, that's dangerous. Don't, no, because I said so.
Yep.
The famous words, mother, father, wherever. It's like, because I said so.
Right.
And is it actually true? No. Because what if we actually let go of everything and send it back to whoever gave us all those, okay, points of view? I know when we are talking to a lot of people, there might be children, so I'm not using the word that I might desire to use.
Fill in the blank here.
With the bleep points of view. So to me, like, people a lot of times ask, what's the being you classes like? They have no structure. They don't have anything.
Correct. Yeah.
Because if you're looking at bars, the foundation, choice of possibility, body class, there is a structure, there is a form, or at least somewhat form, which I never kind of use it, but but at least there is some manuals and stuff. Here we have a manual too, but it's more about what's appropriate for this person, for this class, for this moment.
You mean it's being you changing the world?
I didn't say that.
Say what?
No. It's not allowed.
And what about you, Miss Rachel? What is your favorite tool? If you can only have one tool.
Oh, I was gonna say, I like that. Everything. I have it all. Everything.
I know.
Wow.
Yes.
Current favorite one. Well, I got to go with two. They're sort of tools.
Oh,
I mean, one of them's definitely a tool. The other one's my favorite T-shirt. my favorite T-shirt that I was going to wear today, but this one asked to be worn instead. My favorite tool. Well, you're not as fucked up as you think you are. Okay, that's my favorite T-shirt that I didn't wear today. But anyway, I really like it a lot, that we're not as fucked up. So even this is not so fucked up. And it may seem like a wrongness by this reality's standards, perhaps. But since when do I have to be a standard bearer? I would have to like stand there and hold a standard. That's boring. That's not nearly as much fun as actually playing and asking and creating and enjoying and just taking another step. And okay, maybe I'll fall, but okay, so I can get up and dust myself off and choose again and play again and keep having more fun. That was kind of a tool. But then my favorite.
Do you see how she's sneaking this stuff in, Helen?
Yeah, I know. Because I mean, all of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory.
She's a rule breaker. I can see that.
Huge. Yeah, what are rules anyway? I have such a tough time with rules. I mean, my daughter's in school now. They started like 2 weeks ago or a week ago or something like that, and I think she should be my mother, not really me. I'm like, really, you have to do that stuff again? Like, I'd be the one telling the school, really, do they have to be there for that early of a meeting, or do they have to follow all those steps? And I have a really tough time with that. But my favorite of all tools is everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. And I don't see it as a crazy phrase, which is the way Access describes it. I actually see it as what we think looks solid, like I'm holding a cup, or me, isn't what it appears. There is light and information and energy, and this looks like it may be separate, or this looks like it may be separate from the world outside, but what if it's not? What if everything that looks so solid, beneath it, there's this formlessness of possibilities that are totally available, and all we have to do is ask. And so this everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. It's taking everything that I've learned is real and true in this world and flipped it. What if it isn't? And so that to me is, I mean, it even includes the mantra of all of life comes to us with ease and joy and glory. Because if it doesn't look the way we think it does, this thing that doesn't feel so good incoming right now, if I didn't look at it that way, if I could see it just even like 1 degree over, what gift could I see in it that I wouldn't see otherwise? So it's really hard to just call it like this one tool, because they are, all of these tools play together and come together in a different way to allow us to come together in a different way in the world. So sorry, I just kind of went everywhere.
She did.
Hashtag sorry, not sorry.
Not sorry. But it's so true. And I do love that question of asking. And it's like, so, and I'll look at it like, okay, what do I think this is? And then what if it actually isn't that? And what if it's actually, the opposite of what it's appearing to be? And that also gets me out of here. And especially when I'm trying to force something into a specific way, because I think it's supposed to be this way. So that has gotten me out of a lot of things where I've been like, spinning my wheels and exactly. Just like, no, but it's supposed to be this way. Well, what if it isn't? Oh, right.
There's so much freedom in that. And if I were choosing what would be fun, nonsense for me, how much more sense would this make if I were willing? That's even the joy of the nonsense versus the sense. It's you don't have to buy it all as so real and true and fixed. There's no fixed in formlessness. There's no fixed in possibilities. There's no fixed. It's just
So
being
true.
chosen
So
and
true.
choosing. And wow, I mean, really, Access in general has changed my life utterly, utterly.
Yep.
From when I first found it. I was depressed. I was miserable. Didn't see the point of even getting up in the morning.
Oh, you
And
too.
yeah, totally. I was also diagnosed as bipolar. I was medicated. I was, all sorts of lovely stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't know. I was just aware. I mean, like, if somebody would have even mentioned that to me, like if people find out that I was diagnosed as clinically depressed for years and medicated for it, they'd be like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Nonsense.
Now, how many years ago did you discover this different way of being?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, in 2011, I actually heard a telesummit and heard somebody, and there wasn't much. There was no theclearingstatement.com to find out about. I had that here at the banner. There wasn't anything where I could find out about the weird words that the lady was using when she was using the clearing statement. So I remember distinctly, I had a light green Post-it note. And it took re-listening to that interview several times to be able to write right and wrong, good and bad on the little Post-it. But I was so mad listening to this woman giggling and laughing that I said there's something there for me, because I was not giggling and laughing, to say the least.
Yeah, me neither. Not very much.
Yeah, and now
and you neither, Helen. Wow.
No, I was clinically depressed. I was under care of psychiatrist and psychologist for, I think, how many? 12 years before my first PARS class and foundation.
The gift of access.
I know, right?
Finding you, and then you can be you.
Yes,
and
totally.
a lot of other complications, including fibromyalgia, and I was in a lot of pain and so many things, and it changed and shifted. And pretty much even the first bars class, they tell you the bars class, it's either you have a relaxing, like you had the massage, or it's
changes your entire life.
Your entire life.
And it's changed your entire life. You flew to India right after that.
And how many years ago was that for you?
That was over 8 years ago. It was 2012.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So I'm going to ask you ladies, because you are both new to being you certified facilitator. What drew you all to becoming a being you certified facilitator?
Coming out of hiding. Literally. That even though we had all this joy, I'm going to say, Helen, you can add, but I remember my conversations with you, even the group Being You Without Hiding, that we created a Facebook group just to begin to play and show up, because we love the tools. We love to see the changes. And we had the most it was all just for us and just for fun. And we weren't necessarily stepping beyond our comfort zone to being seen, being heard, showing up, even though Helen already took a step in being a radio show hostess. And, she's a 3-day body facilitator. By the way, phenomenal. I've had 3 classes with her, each one more intensely different and deep than the other. So it's been really cool.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
And I noticed how many of us do play, contribute, have the classes for fun and for our joy. And yet when we're willing to come out of hiding, how many more people would be able to find these tools and go, oh my God, if this person who was so depressed and who had fibromyalgia and had all this pain inside, if they could choose something different, what if there's even just a tiny sliver of possibility, of hope, of change for me? And so the more of us are willing to step out of hiding, the more of us, because really, I avoided the fuck out of the Being You classes, because I got that if I walk into a Being You class, I cannot hide anymore. I could be like a little, stalker on the side, live streaming and doing whatever, on the side, kind of looking in, but not really fully going in and, okay, I'm committed to me. I'm here. I'm not hiding. World, let's play.
Yeah.
And so I avoided the Being You classes like the plague, though I've had the book since 2011. I have one of the original whatever print runs that my dog enjoyed very much and chewed the cover up. And so then I had to get a Kindle version after.
It actually happened to me twice with my dog.
Oh, how smart are your dogs? Like,
yeah,
I want to get some of this book, right?
Exactly.
A taste of being, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And he would go specifically after Being You books.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, the Being You book and my kids' Sidurs that my brother got for them. Those three, the Sidur is like a Jewish prayer thing it was a children's version. And my big brother, who's very, very religious, got a copy for a girl's version and a boy's version. And then there was my Being You book. Those were the only books that she went after.
I'll take this one and this one, this one.
So funny.
Well, I love that, all of us are choosing to come out of hiding, and however many different ways we've hidden. And I've done that a lot, and looking at all of it, it's like, you know what? No, it just doesn't work any longer. And to be that place of, okay, whatever I chose in the past is the past. And I don't beat myself up about it anymore. I don't judge myself. No, I did dynamically, but isn't it freeing, ladies, to like not be that space of judgment and beating yourself up and how horrible you are?
Like, what an ease. Like, you can actually get up in the morning and
Yeah, and it's finally like we can have joy.
Yes.
I was taking a walk with my daughter yesterday, and it's like, oh my God, I'm really truly happy. Which is like,
hi, baby. Aw, you wanted to come to the conversation.
Yeah.
And I love that, right? And just the simple joy and to have that gratitude. And then what does that gift you, Helen, to have that in your life?
Exactly. It's just like so much has changed and shifted. And with Being You, I desired to be facilitator pretty much from the first time I took Being You, which was very soon after I started Access. But somehow there was that hesitation.
Yeah, I had that.
Not now. And at some point, like this year, it was like, I'm like totally stopping hiding. And that was when it's like, okay, I'm done. I'm out. And to be honest with you, even with all the hiding I was doing, I still couldn't hide who I was.
That's so true. Yeah.
It's like we're all so unique, even based on our hiding. It's like that ostrich putting the head in the sand. Nobody can see me.
Right. And that's exactly true. Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is, okay, so everybody can see you even though you're hiding, but you know what? And I'm starting, just tip of the iceberg to get it now. There are so many people that will only be able to receive from your willingness to show up and to shine and to be you, that they may not be able to receive from Dr. Dane or from Gary or from somebody else because they're just not receiving from that particular person. I remember the first gentleman who came to facilitate a foundation class in Guatemala. It was an access facilitator who was absolutely wonderful. We'd heard him on a telecall, And my husband said, you know, most of your friends, this was ages ago, this was like 2013. My husband said, you know, most of those people that you listen to, they're just too weird and crazy, but this guy I like. So I contacted him. That was Dean Larson, who is absolutely phenomenal. And he works with kids and does tutoring, and everything's about education. And he bees access walking for the last 50 years of his education, you know, career at working with children for ages. And my husband said, that person I'm willing to listen to.
Isn't that something?
It was amazing. And I invited him and he came to Guatemala. It was absolutely amazing. But it's interesting because we will receive
that's so true.
different things from different people. And if we're not willing to be a light, to show up, to be ourselves, then other people may not receive that flame or flash or spark or whatever it is to be able to choose further for themselves also. Well, and so how much are we robbing the world by not being ourselves? So
true. And my husband likens it kind of to, when you said the light thing, it reminded me of, you know, like being the lighthouse, right? And you are that light that shines for other people to see. And so if you've dimmed your light so much that, you know, the ships are going by and they can't see the lighthouse, you know, like what is that creating in the world? Right. The crash into the shoreline, you know,
and then no yumminess in crashing.
Right. No yumminess in crashing. No. And you've been there, done that a billion times. Right. And so that is, and it is such an invitation. And so if somebody sees, you know, when we see other people choosing what works for them, it is such an invitation for, even for me, I look at it and go, okay, what am I being that? What am I not choosing? You know, so it puts me in question of what else, that beautiful question, you know, what else truly is possible?
Yeah.
So.
And Betsy, that comes from a willingness to be inspired and a choice. And I'd like to acknowledge that, please, because I know acknowledging is something that creates even more. So there's something called generosity of spirit. Okay. And when we have generosity of spirit and we see that someone is, you know, exploring and expanding and enjoying themselves and having, fun, you know, and we'd like that too. We're not diminishing them. We're not taking anything away. We're just going that, like at the restaurant when Harry met Sally, I'll have that. I'll have that. I'll have that. So how does it get even better than that? And that really adds to the world rather than takes away.
It does. Well, and just, you know, like if we were all stingy and we were all like hiding ourselves, like where would the world be? And, you know, I've certainly done it for a long time. And somebody said to me recently, think about if Gary had kept bars to himself.
Jesus.
You know, I'm like, oh my God, I don't know that I would still be alive, honestly, if I hadn't found bars and the questions and the beautiful journey. So, so where are we being stingy with ourselves that, you know, who knows what it contributes or doesn't, but it's like in the willingness to be all of us.
Yeah.
Then what else truly is possible?
What else is possible? Wow.
What else is possible? And that question is just opens up so many doors.
And we don't even know which doors. Like it's like throwing a rock into a pond and then it just ripples and ripples and ripples. And we don't know what other ripples it may be interacting with and expanding further and expanding further. So we're literally non-linearly, just like with the cat story and the money and the reward and all that. We have no idea how far and wide, you know, the reach of our willingness to shine and ask and be ourselves goes.
Right. And to be that space of allowance and like not get mad and all of that and just be like, okay, and truly asking that question of what else truly is possible here beyond anything we can imagine. I love throwing that in too. And you know, and then being willing to be delighted and surprised when all the fun randomosity starts showing up.
Yeah. And for a lot of people, it's like, but I didn't get the answer. It's not about getting the answer.
Right.
The universe will answer with such a magnificent, beyond this reality.
If you allow it.
If you let it, if you receive it, it's just asking. It's just being that question.
And I like to ask myself, what am I not allowing the universe to contribute to me? Like, okay, right? And then, well, anywhere I'm doing that, sorry, universe, and I'm willing to receive.
Yeah. Wow.
Wonderful. I like that. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
a fun one to play with.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. Now, I know Helen's about to get some movers in her house, so unfortunately, we're going to have to wrap it up just a tiny bit early. I am so grateful that y'all are here to play with me. Thank you for joining us, Betsy, and thank you, Helen, and thank you, everybody who's on live or will be watching in the future. It's such a gift.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we have more coming up. I think a couple of times a week, and you can also join us at Being You classes that you can find at beingyouadventures.com.
Yes.
Betsy, Rachel, me,
and lots of other yummy, amazing facilitators.
This is no requirements, so you can take it anytime. And also you can look at accessconsciousness.com for any classes that all of us are facilitating, including the bars, including foundations, including body classes.
Yes.
Because it's something, the tools of access, it's not philosophy, it's not religion, it's not a cult. It's just a whole bunch of set of tools that helps to change our lives, to I wouldn't even say improve, just to change it so we like ourselves, we like our lives, and we become just a bit happier.
or not.
Or in my case, a lot more than this one.
Yeah. But for some people, even that much is something that would change and shift their perspective so they can receive even more.
You know, I do want to mention too, because I mentioned at the beginning about, you know, the terrible body pain and the fibromyalgia and all that. That's all gone now, guys. Like, I don't have that anymore. I used to get migraines all the time.
Me too.
All gone. So, you know, and I didn't know that was going to happen when I went and had my first bar session. So how grateful am I that, you know, my body was smart enough to be like, what is that? Go find that. Go find somebody. And like really kind of, you know, I was definitely propelled towards it. And that was for me asking that question, there's got to be something else here, right? Like that. And so putting that out, and then it showed up completely random and all this stuff. And it's like, I'm just so grateful. So, and I'm assuming for you as well, Helen, you don't have the body pain anymore.
Yeah. It's such a gift.
A lot of that is just from keeping us hidden.
Yeah.
And contorting so much to try to please and placate everybody else.
And foolish ourselves so we are not seen.
Right slot for you.
Thank you, ladies, so much for having me on. What a joy and a pleasure. And until I can see you in person and give you big hugs.
Oh, we are giving you virtual hugs.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.